Hello and welcome to 707. I'm Evan Johnson and I'm filling in for Daedalus Howell. And today my guest is Gina Cuclis. And thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So you are currently the president of the Sonoma County Board of Education.
Yes, I am.
And can you tell me a little bit about your day-to-day? What's that all about?
Okay, well, certainly I should also say that I'm the president this year, and I also am what is the Area 1 trustee. So there's 5 of us on the County Board of Education, and we each represent an area that geographically corresponds with the same as the supervisors. So my area is the same as District 1 supervisor. East Santa Rosa, East Santa Rosa, Bennett Valley, Rincon Valley, and all of Sonoma Valley.
Okay.
So what we do, I know so few people actually understand what the County Board of Education does.
What is that?
Yes. So we work in conjunction with the county superintendent, who's also an elected official. And therefore, we're the governing body for the Sonoma County Office of Education. And I kind of break it down into 2 broad areas. One, we operate alternative schools for students who are at risk of school and societal failure. That includes operating the education program at the juvenile hall and the probation camp. And we also operate 2 community schools, one in Petaluma and one in Santa Rosa, for students that have been either expelled from their school district, put there by the probation department, or other reasons. And they get more intense one-on-one help in our program. And the other thing we do, we call ourselves providing services and being of service to school districts. And there's a whole variety of programs that the County Office of Education offers that then districts decide, and leadership of districts decide to take advantage of those. And there's a whole variety, but a lot of classes and training and teacher training and administrator support, financial services. You know, the county office will cut the checks for a lot of school districts. We have 40 school districts in Sonoma County.
Wow.
So that's a lot of districts to just be providing services for.
What's the favorite part of your day?
Oh, the favorite part. Wow. Well, what I really like is, one of the reasons why I like being on the county board versus the school district board is having that county-wide view of what's going on in education. And I tell you, what's most gratifying for me, I'm passionate that all of our students in Sonoma County deserve the quality education to graduate college and career ready. So when we're educating and taking on students that haven't done well, that had issues and are at risk and not, they come into our schools, and watching them then get what they need, thrive, and get that high school diploma, that's really gratifying to me. And it's really gratifying. We watch, we get high school diplomas to students who are in the juvenile hall. And that's gratifying too, knowing, we're committed that they come into the juvenile hall, they don't miss a day of their education. They're going to come in and they're going to get the same quality and that attention and expectations that you get if you're in a regular public school classroom. And that for me is the most gratifying part of the job.
You see a lot of need. I mean, is there a lot of kids who make a wrong turn?
Well, it's really what happens is a lot of it starts with what happens in the school district. And I do want to say that the school districts are doing better at kind of keeping their students, and a whole lot less students are being expelled out of Santa Rosa and Sonoma County school districts, but particularly Santa Rosa had some real issues with a lot of expulsions a few years ago. And expelled students came into our program. It is always preferable. Why I'm really proud of the quality of the education that we are providing at the County Office of Education at our alternative schools, it's always preferable that a student can get that education in their own community, in their own school district. But that doesn't work out where we're there.
So you're chiefly working with any one community? Would it be?
Well, it's all over the county.
All over the
those
county.
And those are the students coming in our program are really, they're adolescents. Rare to see elementary school age. It's mostly high school age students.
Okay.
Let me add one other thing. One other thing I want to tell you. I was talking about what we do. We also are the appellate body for inter-district transfer appeals. So if a student wants to go from one school district into a school district that they don't reside in, both of the school districts have to agree that that student can change districts. If a school district denies, then the student can't change districts. But by state law, the state education code, that student has the right to appeal to the County Board of Education. And that's one of the roles we play that you don't hear a lot about, but it does occupy a lot of our time. Because those, you have the right to appeal, and those come to us, and the school districts be there, the family is there. We have our own attorney who advises us on these. He's in the room. I remember we just had one yesterday evening. And they are, and we are a policy board. And we don't make decisions based on emotion. We review the policies of the school districts and our own policy, find out if it was fairly applied in the denial process. And there's a lot of school districts who don't want to lose their students. It gets kind of complicated in different districts and how they're funded. And so there's some school districts who just simply sort of make a policy of not letting a student leave. But they still have to have sort of some grounds for that. But anyway, so that occupies a big part of our time too.
Well, how did you get into all of this? Where did this path kind of begin?
Well, first of all, it starts having been a public school parent. My twin daughters, who are 23 years old now, they went through public schools in Sonoma Valley. So I did all the usual parent volunteer activities, classroom, field trip, grad night volunteer, as well as being, school bond measures, phone banking that parents do. And so I've just been high profile involved in the Sonoma Valley part of the county for a number of years. What happened 4 years ago, because I was elected into the office in November 2012, I was actually contacted by our superintendent in the Sonoma Valley Unified School District, she and I had known each other for years, and ever since she was a teacher before. And she knew me and the kind of person I am, and reached out to me and suggested that I run for the County Board of Education. That's how, and then I did my research, went to a meeting to observe, met with the superintendent, read the budget, looked at it, because that's one of the things we do, is we approve the budget every year. We approved the superintendent's salary every year, and read, and that's how I made the decision. Okay, I think I can make a difference here. I think I could learn myself from this, being involved, and make a difference.
Politics. Do you have much experience?
A lot of experience, as some people may recall. I've actually run for county supervisor.
Okay.
Also, that's kind of how it started. In 2012, I ran in a race where we had 6 candidates, and in that race I came out number 3 out of 6, the top from Sonoma Valley. There were 4 of us in that race from Sonoma Valley. And
good experience or bad experience?
No, it was a good experience. It was an interesting experience. We had late entries from Sonoma Valley that split the vote. I was headed to be in a runoff. So that's kind of how it came to be after that, when I get contacted. Hey, do this. You'd be really good doing this. And then as a result of that, I was continued to be encouraged. People continued after that election to come up to me and say, you got to run again, and we had a split vote, you got to. So I said, well, so then I did. It was a big deal to take on running against a sitting supervisor, because we had we were incumbent, and it's hard to be an incumbent, but when so many people are encouraging you to move forward with something, you have to say, okay, I got to give it a shot again. So I just ran in this June election and didn't make it. But it was another positive experience. It was unfinished business. I had too many supporters that I felt I would let down if I didn't go for it again and bring up issues that needed to be brought up.
Okay, let's take a quick break,
Okay.
and we'll come back with this. Thank you for watching, and we're going to come right back. And we're back. Welcome back to 707. And today we're with Gina Cuclis. And we got a little bit of political background on you and what you've been up to lately. But where did you come from? How'd you come to be out here, or are you from here?
Well, I've lived in Sonoma County 30 years, specifically in Sonoma Valley 30 years. But I grew up in Oakland.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I just recently went to my 40th high school reunion, graduate from Skyline High.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's hard to believe. And then from there, I went to Santa Barbara. I'm a graduate of UC Santa Barbara. Then when I graduated from college, I was very interested in environmental issues. And I was a founder of the Santa Barbara chapter of Friends of the River, and was involved with trying to save the Stanislaus River in Tuolumne County from a dam, or having the reservoir filled. And ended up, when I graduated, I moved to Tuolumne County to work for Friends of the River that summer. And that was the summer that changed my life, because it was the summer I met my husband.
Oh.
Who worked as a river guide on the Stanislaus River. So we lost that fight, but I learned a lot from that experience. You know, one thing, I learned what it means to lose a place you love. It's a beautiful spot.
Well, why do you think you lost that fight?
Oh, it's very complicated. That's a whole show in itself. The politics, I mean, the dam had been built. There were, agricultural interests who thought it was necessary. We had wild and scenic legislation in Congress that had been moving forward, and at that point I was very much involved in trying to get that bill passed. Staffed a letter writing table at the takeout of Stanislaus River rafting run, and getting people to write letters and make donations. And I was even in a book. There's a picture of me in a book that was published in 1981.
Which book?
It's called Stanislaus Struggle for a River. And it's out of print now, and I have a copy. So it was a good historical account of that whole issue. And a picture of me at that letter writing table taken in 1981. And their friends used to joke, "You haven't changed a bit." Anyway, but that was kind of it shaped me in terms of just persevering. I could have at that point in my very young life gone, "Ugh, I'm sick of politics. This isn't going to work." But no, I learned to stand up for what you believe in, and kind of been doing that ever since. And then from there, that's when I met my husband.
Right.
We moved to Humboldt County, because then he went to Humboldt State. We were up there for 4 years. Then we moved down to Sonoma County and Sonoma Valley specifically in late 1986, where we, a few years later, bought a house and decided, well, okay, this is where we're going to stay. Had kids, raised them, and I think a lot of people retire and move to Sonoma to retire. I think we're staying there.
So you're a broad spectrum of California. You've been all over the place.
Yeah, right.
Any place
right.
your favorite?
Oh, sure. Yes, where I'm living now.
Yeah.
That's why we're still there, 30 years later, why we're still there. Right.
How about your family?
My parents were originally actually met in Santa Cruz. And when I was growing up, Santa Cruz was like a second home. My grandparents lived there, aunts and uncles, cousins lived there, and I still have cousins there. I still, visit there a lot. Family members are buried in the cemetery there. But then my parents were in the Bay Area, all the rest of my life, and they both have passed away. My mom just passed away in April. My dad passed away in 2008, and my husband's family have been up. They've been around. They're originally from Indiana. My husband was originally born in Indiana. A lot of his cousins and relatives, that's where they are. But his parents were up in the Sierra foothills for a number of years.
So what do you like to do when you're not saving the world or helping, children and doing all this?
Well, we do. We're old rafters, but my husband and I are still like to raft. Go up to the American River.
It's a good workout, yeah.
Yeah, well, he does the rowing, or we'll paddle. Sometimes we'll get a paddle boat and with multiple people, and you're paddling.
How often do you make it out there?
Well, not as much as we'd like. The drought years made it tough. We didn't get to get up as much as we like. We like to travel. We've been to Europe, and we've been
favorite
other
trip?
Parts of the country. Oh, the favorite trip we had, was I'm Greek American. My parents were raised by Greek immigrants.
Mediterranean.
Yeah, and that's the name Cuclis.
Okay.
And I kept that name when I married. And so we did a really nice family trip back now, it's about, 13 years ago now, with my parents and my brother and his wife and 2 daughters and my husband and I and our 2 daughters, and went and visited the villages that my grandparents came from, as well as other sites in Greece. Yeah, that was definitely the best trip.
What was that like for you?
Oh, it was, well, besides being a lot of fun, just going back, and as a child, I went to Greece one time and was there for 2 months one summer. So went then to these villages, but they're very different now. Back then, when I was there as a child in the 60s, people still lived in the villages. You know, went to where my great grandmother was still alive then, and stayed at that house. And now, when you went back, and this was 13 years ago, going back, nobody's living in those. Nobody's really living. There's summer homes. You know,
It's all been bought out, can't afford it?
Yes, right. Well, there's nothing there.
They have their own housing crisis, perhaps?
It's not. It's just there's nothing. That way of life is gone. You can't make a living. Before, the subsistence living, everybody farmed. There was a teacher. There was a priest. The villages still have a church. Mm-hmm. But so now those homes, they're weekend homes. So the family members, left the villages to go into the cities. So like my father's side of the family is from the island of Crete. So the village there in Malaxa is about 45 minutes away from Hanya, one of the 2 big cities on the island of Crete. So they all moved to Hanya. So they're all living in the cities, and then they kept the family home, and then they'll go up to the family home on the weekend. Sort of like if you live in San Francisco and have a house in Sonoma, except for the people they're not, a lot of the people who do that are around are wealthy. These are just the average folks. They still own the family home, keep it as a weekend place to go visit, but the villages aren't there with people living full-time, and all the farming and all that happened back when I visited as a kid in the 60s, which was still just about 2 decades after World War II.
Okay. So. Let's wrap up for this segment, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back on 707, and I'm with Gina Cuclis, and you're running for re-election, and let's talk about some of possibly your strong issues that you're interested in. What's one off the top of your head that really close to your heart?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you about something. So I've mentioned earlier about our alternative ed programs, and I'm real passionate about that. Continuing to make sure that those are high quality programs. Continuing to, by the way, attendance is an issue, and we've improved our attendance in our alternative education schools. I'm really proud of that. Want to continue to work on that. That was an issue when I first got on the board that was close to my heart. So I particularly took an interest in what it would take to and make sure our students come to school. But on a broader scale of the county, we have in Sonoma County, and frankly all over the state of California and probably much of the country, a teacher shortage. And one way I describe it, having raised 2 daughters who are young millennials, we've turned off that generation to wanting to be teachers.
No money in it.
Yeah, and the teacher colleges have, in the last several years, have not been graduating enough teachers. And I just found out last night at our monthly County Board of Education meeting, at this point in Sonoma County, there are still school districts needing teachers for the start of school year. And school starts in
like a
soon,
week?
In a week. It's the middle of August when it starts. And so there's still 60 positions that are open for teachers throughout the school districts in Sonoma County. So what we've done, though, and I really have to give a lot of credit to our county superintendent, Dr. Steve Harrington, and the head of our teacher induction program for new teachers. We have started at SCO and launched the North Coast School of Education. And this is for people, I've been out championing this because it's a huge, students can't learn if we don't have teachers to teach them.
What is this program?
This is a program for people who already have an undergraduate degree. Could be a re-entry student or somebody, let's say, you've been an accountant sitting at a desk for 20 years, and I'm ready for something different. You love
maybe.
math. Why not be a teacher for the final 10 or 20 years of your working career? You come through our program at SCO. It's a 2-year program. It includes getting an internship. So the classes are at night, then you get a paid internship, and after 2 years, you're going to be fully credentialed. We started this first with special education, because there's even a huger, special education is almost in crisis in terms of the teacher shortage for people going to special education. So we started in January with a cohort that are specifically going through the program to get a special education credential. Because that was also first accredited. We had to get accredited from the state. We just got our accreditation for multi-subject elementary school, and we'll be starting in January a class of teachers to get a multi-subject elementary credential. And we're waiting right now for the accreditation from the state anytime for our single subject or the secondary education credential. And I've been talking, so as my age group, I've been talking a lot. I've been out there for a year now that we've been talking and setting up to do this, been really championing this, encouraging, because I also call it a grow your own. So people who are already living in the North Bay, participants in the program aren't just Sonoma County, they're coming from around the North Bay, because it's teacher shortages all over the region.
Getting a lot of numbers? Is it
yeah,
working?
Yeah. Right now it's just people wanting special ed, because that's all that we could do right now until January. We'll be able to start the multi-subject. But it's also hard in a very expensive county to live in, like Sonoma County with the housing shortage.
Yes.
It's even tougher for us to attract teachers, because young teachers, who are in high demand, it's hard to come here. It's hard to afford to live here. So that idea of developing teachers, creating new teachers who are already living in the area, it's a positive.
Does this process pay?
Yes, because when you're in the, you do have to pay tuition in the program, but you also get a paid internship. The internships are paid. School districts then pay. So a lot of people going through this, the hope is that not only then you do this internship, but then you've got a job ready for you right away in that district that has put you through the internship. Oh.
On a side note, where would you like to see yourself in 5 years coming up here?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Yeah, I'm running for re-election as Area 1 trustee. Mm-hmm. That's a 4-year term. And so I don't plan to run for supervisor again. I did that twice. I'm just, I don't.
Can let it be, or?
Yeah. It's a lot of work, and it's been worthwhile, and it's been an opportunity to make new friends, meet new people, make some change happen just by raising the issues. But I don't see that happening again. So right now I'm just sort of I'm just finishing doing the things I'm doing. Because I'm on some other boards too. In Sonoma, I'm on the Sonoma League for Historic Preservation board. I'm also on a ad hoc short committee to create and build a memorial, if you will, more like a monument, to General Mariano Vallejo, the founder of the city of Sonoma.
Why him?
Well, because he's the founder, because he's an important historical figure in also the state of California's history, as well as Sonoma's history.
Bring people out to see the statue?
Well, exactly. So what happened, how I got on this, I was recruited. This woman who started it, who I'd met because we served on the board of Sonoma League for Historic Preservation. And it's just something I kind of care about. And there's an educational component too. So she just said, it's when one of these things talked about, this important historical figure to Sonoma and to the state should have a tribute besides just his house. So she organized a group of people to come together, and I couldn't say no. When she contacted me and said, would you be on this committee? Would you do this? And he's one of these people you just couldn't say no to. So we've gotten all our approvals from the city. It's going to be a statue on a bench type, so people could come and sit next to it. If we wanted something a little interactive, you could sit next to him, take your picture. So that project, in about another year, it will wrap up. We're in the fundraising stage. We got all the approvals from the city, and I got an architect donating his time to draw. We got the artist who's starting to create it, came up with the design of sculpture. So we hope by July 4th, that's General Vallejo's birthday of 2017, to have it installed and have a ceremony. And then that committee will disband. And so that's one project off my list. So anyway, so
Well,
5 years, I'm open to possibilities.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing the statue, and we actually are out of time for today, so I do want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully we'll have you back again sometime and see where this all kind of shapes out towards.
I would look forward to that. I look forward to that. I've enjoyed my time here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for watching 707. We'll see you next time.